Thursday evening, September 5th, and we welcome you to the North Bend School District Board meeting. That's a call to order. Let's see, next we got a flag pledge, and the flag is to the right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call. Mr. Ellis. Look at that. Please, Carol Yardley, your host, Jim Jordan, Nathan McClintock, Michelle Roberts, and Mary Schilling. That is 7 for 7. Everybody's here. Agenda item 2, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented? So motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a second to approve it. As presented, is there any discussion? No discussion. Okay, we'll have a vote. All in favor of the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? 7-0. Okay. All right, agenda item 3 is a thank you from Rachel Stoppler, donated $15,000 to North Bend High School to purchase a rosewood bassoon. We want to, if anyone knows who Rachel Stoppler is, she's a physician's assistant. She actually used to be mine when she moved away. But yeah, great lady. Vince, as I mentioned earlier, whenever we get said bassoon, we will need to secure this, because 15 grand is, hey.
We'll find a special way to make sure it's, I don't know, armed guards or some kind of electronic system, but yeah.
Plastic cases with the sensitivity switch on there.
Yeah, I think we'll have to do better than our badges.
We thank Rachel for her generous donation.
Absolutely.
Okay, public participation, agenda item 4. The board welcomes comments and questions from the public. If you wish to address the board, please fill out a public participation sheet available at the table outside this room. Give it to the board secretary. We ask you limit your comments to 3 minutes. And I won't read the rest because, do we have one?
We do not.
Just one? Steve?
He's gonna join in with Vince.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, great. So no, all right, no public communications. All right, agenda item 5, communications. 5A, board reports and communication? None. Okay. 5B, student representatives to the board, and we welcome Bear Gordon and Ellie Massey.
All right.
Come on up. You guys usually sit there and...
Today was the first day of school for sophomores, juniors, and seniors. We have a few new ideas around school that we are trying out, along with a number of new classes. One of those classes is called Student Leadership. We are both enrolled in that class. Our plan is that each month we will have new members of the class come over and share things that are happening in North Bend High School. Yesterday was the first day of school for our freshmen. They started out the day by walking through the halls while the staff at the school welcomed them by clapping for them as they came through the doors. It's a great way to welcome them into North Bend. In 4 years on graduation night, our staff will line up at the end of the ceremony and clap for them again as they leave North Bend High School. Our teams and clubs at North Bend High School are selling car raffle tickets this year. Coos Bay Toyota has donated a brand new hybrid car that students at both North Bend and Marshfield can sell. We get to keep 100% of the money from the tickets that we sell. In just about a month, our clubs have earned over $4,000. One of the new things we are doing to try to keep student attendance up this year is a program called the 10-10 rule. Teachers are being asked to make sure that students are in class the first 10 and last 10 minutes of class so that they can have a great start to each period and make sure they are engaged in the last 10 minutes of class. Open house at North Bend High School will be on September 25th at 5:30 p.m. Senior night will be October 2nd. This is a night that both senior students and their parents come into school and discuss the upcoming year's activities.
Yesterday, our cross-country team traveled to Roseburg to run in a meet. The times of the meet had to be moved up because of the excessive heat. Our girls finished third in the race. Our very own Eliana Massey won the girls' race. We have big expectations for her this year.
Yes, okay.
Last week, our football team was at home for a game against Seaside, who were state semifinalists last year. Our boys had a tough second quarter, but had a great second half. Unfortunately, we came up just a little short. Tomorrow, our team travels to Gladstone High School for a game. Did you know that when our football team wins their next game, the head coach, Gary Prince, will move ahead of former coach Howard Johnson to become the winningest head football coach in NBHS history. In fact, right now we have 2 other coaches that lead their sport in wins as head coaches. Mr. Forrester has won more games than any other girls basketball coach, and Mr. Horning has the most wins of any baseball coach. Our volleyball team has a new head coach, Haley Dunham. Right now, the team has won 2 matches and lost 1. On Tuesday, they were at Siuslaw, where they won in 5 sets. Our girls' soccer team traveled to Summit High School in Bend on Tuesday and played the Dowls. They lost a tough game 2-1.
No, it was 1-0.
Thank you. Our boys' soccer team played at Cresswell on Tuesday and tied the Red Dogs 2-2. On September 20th, North Bend High School will induct its 22nd class into its Hall of Fame. This year's inductees are Tom Nichols, from 1981 graduate and former NBHS basketball coach, Terry Williams, 1989 NBHS graduate and 4-time swimming state champion, Wyatt Cunningham, 2014 graduate and state champion in the high jump and 200-meter dash, Jeff Bremer, 1975 graduate and longtime North Bend High School baseball announcer at Clyde Allen Field. It's going to be a great year to be a Bulldog.
Indeed.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item 4C, North Bend Education Association report. Eva Varga.
Oh, good evening, buenas noches. I'm excited to be here, as all the teachers are excited to be back at school. And it's always fun to come back walking into a classroom where all of your stuff is in boxes and there's nothing on the walls and you have to spend like a week or more putting everything together. But once teachers are finished, the rooms look amazing, warm, welcoming, very colorful and cheerful. So I encourage you to come by and visit and take a peek at what everybody's done, because it takes a lot of work to transform, 4 walls and a door and maybe a window into an amazing, welcoming space. One of the things that the teachers are really excited about this year is we all got new laptops. So thank you for budgeting that in. We also got new fancy, they're called New Line boards, but there's fancy smart boards at the high school. And having worked with them at the elementary and at the middle school, and then working with the old ones at the high school, the one term I taught Spanish at the high school, I'm so happy that everybody has the same board. So that is really nice. We have new curriculum, so math at the elementary, so there's that extra lift of trying to learn this new curriculum and designing lessons and supplementing that in whatever way each teacher likes to individualize things. So that's all happening. And the next thing I'd like to do is to continue what I started last year, the extra mile appreciation. We haven't had a lot of time to nominate our colleagues, but there was a few that were nominated at the end of last year that did not get recognized. And so we'll take a moment to go through each of these tonight. So go ahead and go to the first September one. So Roger, I'm nominating Roger because he has gone above and beyond all expectations for a custodian. When I first started, I was in this tiny little room at Hillcrest, and I thought I want to have a really cool chair. So I bought myself this chair, this purple chair, and I don't know where it came from. It wasn't very expensive, but it arrived with broken legs. And then I couldn't send it back. They said, well, we'll send you a new chair. And I was like, well, what am I going to do with this old chair? Anyway, Roger repaired the chair on his own time. And I know he's also built bookshelves for teachers, and he just always wants to make sure that the teachers in his building are happy. And when he just does everything that we ask him to. So I'm nominating and thanking Roger for his efforts to keep Hillcrest beautiful for all of us. All right, next. Sunshine was nominated last year by Renee Brown. Renee says that Sunshine always begins their day by asking how we are, even when she's sick. So my presumption is that even when she's home ill herself, she still reaches out to her colleagues to inquire about their welfare. She is willing to be a team player and do anything to make the day go smoothly. She's had many great ideas about lessons, and she always shares her ideas with her team and makes master copies for others. And so she's a great leader and colleague at North Bay. Nora Collins was also nominated last year by Ed Nichols. Ed stated that Nora works hard to improve North Bay for both staff and students. She recently created a very powerful connection between the school and Hauser Community Church, and a result of this collaboration led to the restoration of the school courtyard area. And I believe this happened in the late spring, Ed? Yeah, by a wonderful group of and amazing people from the church. So without Nora going the extra mile, North Bay would not be the same place that it is today. And the next one, we have Kylie Woodman. She was also nominated last year. She was nominated by Tyler Suma, who says, quote, Kylie always goes the extra mile for her coworkers and students. She is always willing to lend a hand to her coworkers in need, whether that means she covers a class on her prep or combines classes to create a fun and engaging game of kickball or cones. Kylie is a genuine and thoughtful person who is always there with a latte or a hug. I lost my place. Oh, to help you make it through the week. She pays close attention to her coworkers, her friends and students, making mental notes about things that are important to them and genuinely caring about their interests. Friends and students alike will always know that Kylie is cheering them on and will be there to support them. The amount of time and dedication that Kylie puts into her lessons and her students is admirable. She's always striving to learn more and to better herself for the benefit of her students. I've never met someone who cares so deeply about the people they encounter. Her students and coworkers are beyond lucky to have her. She supports staff and advocates for students to help create a loving, inclusive, and kind community. All right, and the last one this evening is Rafael Concha. I'm also nominating Rafael because as a world language teacher myself, I am just super excited to see all the things that Rafael is doing at the high school. He's kind of revitalized the Spanish club, and he's going to be taking a group of students and volunteers to Peru in the summer. And without Rafael, I would not have been able to see it through that in the spring term when I was asked to teach Spanish. So I really relied on him and his guidance to teach a subject I had never actually taught before. Even though I speak Spanish, it's a total different thing to like be teaching it. So anywho, so he also, as part of his, the Spanish club on Cinco de Mayo for the 5th of May celebration, it's not Mexico's Independence Day. It was to commemorate a battle, and he brought the history of that Hispanic or Mexican holiday forward, and coordinated and planned along with a team of other staff members, but planned and performed and prepared a Mexican meal for everybody at the high school on Cinco de Mayo. And so pretty amazing. It was kind of a superb effort by a small group of people. So anyway, how to say, oh, thank you.
Thank you, Eva.
Thank you.
next up, 4D, Assistant Superintendent Tim Kreider, Strategic Plan Update.
Might even take 3 hours.
Tim got shorted at the work session about 2 weeks ago. We were into it was past 9 o'clock. I think.
Yeah. Yes, it was. He missed a good one.
We won't do that next Thursday. Shoot for a couple hours here.
Just two.
So some of this I did share the other evening at the work session, but just to kind of run through the strategic plan and the process, we had vetted quite a few companies that we reached out to receive bids for strategic planning for North Bend School District, and we ended up landing on Performance Fact. The process is to ensure that we are aligned as a district. People, processes, programs, and structures all headed the same direction is the primary goal of the strategic planning process. The Performance Fact premise is based on the belief that all students learn at high levels when instruction meets their needs. What a student has not learned well yet is something that has not been taught well yet. So in other words, all students can learn. Students learning then is the effect whose cause lies in the quality and effectiveness of educational practices. And through the strategic planning process, we can engage in continuous improvement of teaching practices, leadership practices, and organizational practices, all as precursors to student learning. The key components of the plan will be focused on student learning, instructional effectiveness, and empowering infrastructure. What we will get through that process is the development of a new vision. We'll revisit our vision, our core purpose. We'll develop a portrait of a graduate, our promise and guiding principles, goals and measures of student success, excellence targets. And that will be built on 4 pillars of effective instruction: aligning professional practices for effective instruction and strengthening the instructional core. And we will build a strategy map with key actions outlined and a roadmap for disciplined implementation. I have outlined for you the phases of the planning process, and we're going to go through 6 phases. Right now, we are really in the phase 1, the mobilization of the community. And Performance Fact is engaged in some of the work in phase 2 right now. We had some key individuals in the district work on gathering some data for them. Some student surveys are being implemented now in the classrooms to gather some feedback from students. Performance Fact is gathering that preliminary data, and then they're going to bring that to the teams, and we'll talk about the teams here in a minute. So in terms of what we're doing as a district, we're mobilizing the community in terms of building a core planning team representing stakeholders from across the district. We've reached out to community leaders, business leaders, and parents, teachers, educational support staff. We'd like some school board members on that team, of course, and district leadership on that team. So the community is really the driving force behind this. We want to make sure we end up with a plan that meets the needs of our community at large. As we go through these stages, we're going to develop the where are we going next? So we'll end up having some planning team drafts with some long-term vision, mission, and core values and portrait of a graduate outlined, and draft some goals and measures, do some reality checks along the way with students, families, community stakeholders, and the school board, and create some signature strategies aligned to our community's needs, our district's needs, and articulate how we will implement those, put those beliefs into practice, and develop a clear pathway through that process. So on the next page, I have an outline of all the different events taking place. And the page right after that outlines the actual team. So we'll have a student voice team, the core planning team I just discussed, that's our biggest team. That'll probably be up to about 60 people. And they will be the main driving force of this. We'll also have an instructional focus team, which will consist of teachers, counselors, educational assistants, school administrators. There'll be an alignment team consisting of some key decision makers in our community and the superintendent. We'll have a family team, community forums, school department forums, a principal administrative team. There'll be board presentations for you along the way. And there is a superintendent leadership team involved. So all these dates are outlined here for you. Our initial core planning team meetings are happening September 30th and October 1st. And we'll be holding those in the Hall of Champions. We've been, letters have gone out. We've been collecting names. We have a pretty good list of people so far that have expressed interest in being on that team. We want to try to get a good cross-representation of the community and the district as a whole. So that team's being firmed up, and those individuals that are going to be on it will be notified in the next week or two that they've been selected. So there'll be 2 full-day planning meetings with that team on site, led by the facilitators at Performance Fact. Following that, we do have the instructional focus team meetings on October 14th and 15th. So you can expect board updates in October, January, March, and April. And any questions there on the team so far?
I guess for the teams, I know Carol volunteered to be on the alignment team, and I'll
Okay.
volunteer for that also. And then so for the board, I think the 3 teams for us to be members is the alignment team, which 2 is a good number, then the core planning team. Tim, I think we've discussed it before at the work session, 3, the maximum of 3.
Right, because we'll actually be talking about district business, we wouldn't want more than 3 board members on those teams. The community forum, everybody can show up at.
Okay. And then the other team the board members could be on is the instructional focus team. Same deal, we want to limit the number to 3.
Correct.
So just looking at those, there are 2, for the core planning team, the 30th of September or the 1st of October are 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So those are 2 full days. So just wanted to highlight that there is some
2
time.
fun-filled full days,
Fun-filled, I'm sure it'll be interesting.
food included.
And I guess we've talked, there's a dynamic on meetings, and when you get to 50 or so,
Yeah.
I'd like to see how they manage that.
I can't wait. This is why we hire professionals.
Yes, yeah. Okay, thanks.
Is there, and do we want to, if anybody's interested on either the core or the instructional or both, let me know, and I'd be happy to. You would like to be on the core? Excellent.
I want to as well. I have a doctor's appointment on that Monday morning, so I would need to reschedule if I for sure am on. So I was gonna ask you am I for sure, if I tell you, then I can just call and reschedule.
Would you like to be on the core or the instructional?
I'll do both if I can, or if needed. Either or.
Okay. Any other interest?
I was interested in the family team.
The families community forums, those are excellent. Those will be open sessions for
Okay.
everybody. Perfect.
As well as the community and also the word review, are we all, or?
Yes, that'll
are we
happen here.
all? Okay.
What's the process for selecting the other members
For
for any of the,
Well, the core planning team, we sent out letters to all the parents. We've posted some information on social media, and there's a sheet that people can express interest on. Right now, the only limitations would be if we go over that 60 number, and also looking at some of the staff members, because if we have to also find substitutes for the staff members too. So we do want fair representation of all the grade levels, all the different programs. We just have to be careful how many we have on there. And we haven't reached that limit yet. So right now, we're
so it's just sort of a verbal invitation and a response. It's just
Exactly.
somebody showing interest.
Yeah, and feel free to share that with anybody. Like I said, we're open to, anybody in the community that wants to be a part of this. Any of the local businesses that are hiring our graduates would be fantastic people to represent our community on this. Faith-based leaders are fantastic people to be on this core planning team as well. And I've reached out to a few of the larger community churches, but feel free to spread the word too. So far I got Dallas, Michelle, and Michelle.
Check my schedule.
Okay. So Michelle, you are on both teams.
Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you. And then if anybody else, Dallas, I got you on the core, and then Jim and Carol on the alt.
The core planning team, that's the one with 60 players or so?
Yep.
Okay, and then the IFT team,
Instructional focus, that'll be all teachers and educational assistants, district leaders. Yeah.
any other that you would encourage a board member to be on?
In terms of this, there'll be the presentations at the board meetings, and then we have the alignment team with 2 board members on it, Jim and Carol. So it's really those other 2 teams that we were looking for
Okay.
some representation. Yeah, that'd be great. So again, the next page there kind of talks about those teams a little bit. What is the portrait of a graduate? You've heard us talk about that through the process. The portrait of a graduate is a community-wide vision statement of the attributes of a graduate and what they must possess to succeed in learning in life, both in school and beyond. So in the back of the packet, I included for you a sample that they developed for another school district in another state, Downingtown Area School District. And this shows you essentially 3 of the key deliverables that we'll have in the end. They have a 1-pager portrait of a graduate that they've developed. So in this community, they identified the areas of ready for career, college, and life, and they've outlined kind of what that means. A critical thinker and problem solver, a responsible community member, someone who prioritizes health and wellness, and a skilled communicator and collaborator. And through the development of the portrait of a graduate, they then outlined 4 goals for the district. And they have measures, examples here for those goals. So these are the 4 pillars of success they've identified. Students feel safe, connected, and engaged. The students achieve core academic standards and skills, growth through equitable support, and prepared for a future of their choice. So that's just, again, a sample driven by this community. And so essentially we'll be developing our own. And then they outline the signature strategies, which essentially for the goal, what are the strategies the district will engage in order to achieve those goals. And in the end, they develop a roadmap for success, so for implementation. When all of this is complete, it will be something that will then be presented to the board in a full presentation discussing the whole process, all the engagement that took place for the board to essentially vote on and adopt as our strategic plan moving forward. So something we're very excited about.
Then we apply it.
And then we apply it. Yep, exactly. Then the work begins.
That's really the hard part.
Right. And that's the key is when we talked about doing this and when we talked, the different people that presented, we wanted to make sure that we ended up with something that wasn't just sitting on a desk or on a bookshelf. It has to be something that we really believe in and that will really ground us in our vision and mission and all the decisions we make for the next few years.
Exactly.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, agenda item 4E, superintendent report, Vince Swaggerty.
Right, so you have my written report. I'm not gonna read that out loud to you. For the sake of time, I will make a couple of additional comments. First of all, in reference to one of the things that had our preparation for the school year, I just want to really give a shout out to everybody in the room who helped organize and put on all of our first in-service week professional development and training. I thought it was great. A lot of time, not just for teachers in the classroom, but very some specific focused work that both Dana and Bruce did in terms of looking at our data, diving into the data. The phrase now is deep dive, so they helped us do a deep dive into the data and really begin work with PLCs and getting that process started for the year so that we can move forward. Heather, thank you. You guys, again, your participation in that to make that work. And then, of course, the principals and assistant principals that you see here had a chance to be in their buildings and see them working with their staff. And it was just a pleasure to see that happen, which all led up to yesterday. A good first day of school. Had a chance to be in all the buildings at some point in time during the day. Of course, at the middle school and the high school, there was one grade, the sixth graders at the middle school and the ninth graders at the high school. They were doing some pretty fun things with the ninth graders. You heard a little bit about a clap through with the staff. And so then today, everybody on board, other than the kindergartners. Now the kindergartners, Ed and all of the kindergarten teachers and those teams are meeting with parents and having a kind of an orientation, which was kind of cute because Ed, I was just talking to him today. I saw them yesterday. There were 5 kindergartners that looked like 100 parents behind them. I thought maybe only 12 or 13, but and the kindergartners were in much better line than the adults. I'm just saying, I'm just going to stop it. But it was a lot of fun to see that. So kindergartners will start in earnest tomorrow. And then, we're doing good. Little hitches in the giddy-ups, our biggest concern, as we've talked about, the new staff and the bus company. So Midco, the person they hired to lead them locally does not have a busing background. And so Bruce has been collaborating closely with them. Let's just say it like that, to try to make sure that we are getting all of the routes covered, that the knowledge they need to have, but then we're getting the information that we need from them so that we can make sure that we can get all the kids home. Getting the kids to school is not the hard part. Getting them all back home is the bigger challenge. And so we did have one bus in Lakeside that was trying to find their way to the right spots. And so that was a bit of a challenge yesterday. We do appreciate Brian and the company. I just saw that I accepted a meeting with them tomorrow, talking about it. We are working closely to try to make sure that's covered. And then I also want to say this before I'm going to have Steve talk a little bit about the grant money that they gave out and as a part of my presentation. But Heather showed me this today. They were doing some of that work in the in-service, and she was asking a group of teachers, how many years of experience they have in education and how many schools they've been a part of in their life, and then how many degrees they have. And so then she did it with the other school, and so this is K-5 regular teachers. We're not counting the specialists, we're not counting the high school, we're not counting administrators, we're not counting TOSAs. In the elementaries, we have 579 years of teaching experience in the classroom this year, certified. We're not counting EAs or anybody like that, who have been a part of 120 different schools, and those teachers have 110 different degrees. So when our students walk through the door at our elementary schools, they're walking into a place that has experience, that has heart, and it's that are ready to teach. And so I just thought I'd share that. Steve Greif we invited him to be a part of our to be a part of our in-service this year. We gave him some time to speak prior to Tim and I sharing our speeches with everybody. And we invited him to share not just the amount of money that the foundation is passing out in grants, but also because Steve is really our local historian, and we love if North Bend loves anything, we love our history. And so he was able to share a great message with our folks, and Steve, I really appreciate that. It was amazing.
It's fun.
But he is here to talk about what the foundation gave out on the first day of in-service. So go ahead.
Great. Little history nugget to start with. Eva and Rafael, the oldest club in North Bend High School traditions is the Spanish Club. Of all things, been around since 1908, I think. So thank you for giving me just a few minutes of your time. Former teacher at the high school, former coach at the high school, and the voice of the Bulldogs on Friday nights. I represent being a member of the North Bend School Foundation. We are not the scholarship group. There's two important groups that are functioning for this district. My wife's on that committee. This one is the foundation, which is about 15 years old. It took us about 6 years to raise some funding, and we started giving grants in 2015. And what we're asking for in terms of granting is, and teachers can go online anytime during the school year, but pretty much most people do it in May, anticipating what they want to do next year. And they're asking us for things that they think they can't find funding for, that the district doesn't pick up, or it's extra. And we're looking for that extra mile, that the teacher that goes and gives their own time at lunch or after school or goes to a convention or something, and they really want some support. And we try to fill these gaps. And it's really a joy. This year, 19 individuals in your district had some great ideas, and 17 of them we gave some amount of money to. Sometimes it's a full award, sometimes it's a partial award. And one of the traditions we do is, before we ever sit down in July or August and talk about the grants, is we go to our superintendent and we say, here's 19 great ideas in this district. What do you think? And sometimes it's like, that's not a good idea, and you really shouldn't throw money that direction. Sometimes it's, the district really should have done that. An example this year is Hope Huntley at North Bay really wanted some new headsets for a reading program that they're doing, which sounded very reasonable to me, but Vince noted that it'd be more reasonable if the district did the research so that every school in the district had the same set of headsets. We didn't want to duplicate and not be consistent. So the district's going to help Hope this year, and then if Hillcrest wants some of the headsets, we know which ones to buy. So that's a great relationship. He found money in his budget for that. We found money, $12,000 that we gave out for a number of other things. Just to give you a sampling of things, at the high school, the librarian asked for some large print books for a new section in the library that she wanted. Your 6th state champion, Amber Yester, who developed our band program, needed some new music stand carts. Your art teacher at a ceramics project, Becky Eddy. Ben Yester, who is a life skills teacher, wanted some money for taking kids out in the community and doing hands-on life skills exercises. Christina Geierman gives time, volunteers for the National Honor Society for Science. And all that she wanted was a banner to, when they go to these competitions, to say North Bend High School National Honor Society. That was an easy $135 to give away. At the middle school, Darren Cinco wants to take kids to 2 middle school science competitions up the coast. We helped him with that. You can't give everything, they have to do some fundraising on their own. At Hillcrest, also at the middle school, by the way, Sarah Massey wanted a specialized music cabinet so that kids can get their music immediately and get their instruments and start band practice at the middle school. And just having a cabinet that works made a big deal in her life. At Hillcrest, Deirdre Traylor had some ideas for a flexible seating arrangement for some of its children in her 3rd grade. I've talked about Hope out at North Bay already, but she also wanted a science kit for a special science third grade project. At the high school, there's a chess club that Jennifer Hampel runs, and they wanted some big chess pieces for that chessboard they have in the center of the campus. We thought, if other kids see that chess is an interesting thing and it's a thinking activity, that sounds great to us. So anything that encourages a little extra, and all these projects did. Our science department had some electronic balances that are out of balance, and we're going to help them out with a partial on that one. Marcy Marchand at the high school needed some specialized tools for drama. And at Hillcrest, they're running a marathon fitness program, and we're providing some software to make that happen. So all levels of the district got some money at some point, and a lot of the arts, drama, the art program itself, music. Dustin, who at the high school wanted a specialized set of materials for his Western history unit for his college level class. So pretty excited about that. That means $12,000 this year, and that means since we've been granting things in the last 10 years, it's $162,000 that we've awarded in the last 9 or 10 years. So it's a substantial amount that's going into the district that's relieving our taxpayers of a little bit. And it comes from donations. And by the way, since maybe some people will hear this presentation, the North Bend Legacy Plaza, which is the corner of the gymnasium as you enter the gymnasium from the parking lot with the big bulldog statue of Hesper, that was put together by volunteers who asking people to donate $75 to have it engraved brick. And all of those $75 goes right back into this fund and out. So it's not too late. Boyd Bjorkquist and I put in 20 new bricks in right before graduation. So we'll do that again next year. And if anybody wants to donate to that, the North Bend School Foundation has a website with that very name. So please consider that. And then finally, I would like to say that one of the gentlemen on our committee is Jerry Zabriskie. Jerry was a D student when he was a freshman at North Bend High School in 1949. And a teacher, he told me this story, a teacher literally put him up against the wall, and probably that wouldn't happen today, but put him up against the wall and said, Jerry, you have more in you than what you're showing here. Get with it. And he actually went to the principal and said, this teacher, it was a foreign language teacher, said, I have potential. Do you think I have potential? And the principal was smart enough to say, yes. Actually know your IQ scores, and they're quite high. He didn't give him the number. And I don't know if that was true or not, but it probably was, because this man went on to West Point as a cadet. He got service medals in Vietnam for his distinguished service. He became a teacher, an engineering teacher at Purdue, as well as West Point, and came back for a couple of years and was my chemistry teacher at North Bend High School in the early 70s and coached football. And now he's come back to the community, and he's volunteering as an 80-year-old plus person in our community band, and he played in the alumni band Friday night as we introduced our football game, and he's on this committee serving as a volunteer. I asked the teachers to look at Jerry and think about who in their classroom are probably kids that they would think maybe aren't going to make it, and remind themselves that here's a man who just got a little extra shove from one person. And I think everybody in the district knows that they have that kind of influence on people, and it really makes a difference. And if you want to know about, I'll end on this. If you ever want to be inspired about whether North Bend School District has done anything to affect this country, not just the community, but the country itself, just go to the gym lobby and look at the Hall of Fame members. Look at who has graduated from our school district and gone on to create the CAT scan, to create the OnStar system for automobiles, to teach at amazing universities, to work with NASA, to be the first woman to run the Children's Services Division in the state of Oregon. These are all North Bend graduates. And I think we should all be proud of that. And then I also pointed out a whole bunch of people that we see in this town as we go out, that are at City Hall, that are running businesses, the new school resource officer at North Bend High School. These are kids that are now adults, and we have to remember that the kids who are in school today are going to be in these seats here and in running our businesses in the future. And we just have to constantly being reminded of that. I'm always, even though I've thought about this for years, I'm still shocked when I go into a business and I realize, like at Reese Electric, there's a former track star of mine that like wired the museum, the Coos History Museum. And I thought, Nate, how did you, I didn't see this in you. And he said, I didn't see this in me either when I was a sophomore at North Bend High School, but here I am. And that happens a lot. And you guys know that because if people know you're on the school board, they probably will tell you those stories. So congratulations to this year's staff and to you as board members. You're doing something incredibly important, and you're to be honored and thanked and reminded that there's other people out there volunteering to help you do some of these wonderful things. I'm going to leave with Vince the summary of all the last 10 years that we've given grants, and I'll email it to him, and if you want to pass it on to board members, feel free. Anyone have any questions? Thank you for all you're doing.
Steve, thank you for the inspirational and aspirational storytelling. We
Good.
want to have you back.
Yeah, I've got a lot of history stories, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, some former students of mine in this very room.
Okay. All right, agenda item 5, action consent agenda items. Is there a motion to approve the action/consent agenda as presented? So moved. Okay, there's a motion by Nathan. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there is a motion and a second to approve the action consent agenda items. Any discussion? Okay, we will have a vote. All in favor of approving the action consent agenda items, say aye. Aye. Nay? 7-0. All right, agenda item 6, policy AC, non-discrimination, first read, no action.
When Michelle uploaded all the policies into Board Book Premier, there was a glitch in that particular file. And so we found out after we thought you all had the policy, that you actually didn't have the policy. And so rather than try to catch you up and then have a vote on it on a second read tonight, we just decided to pull it out. We'll have it be a first read tonight, and then next month you'll have an opportunity to adopt the policy if you so choose.
Thank you, Vince. Okay, agenda item 7, adopted calendar change, action item.
So we are happy to say, and we mentioned it last meeting, Mike did, that the OSAA has invited us to host the 4A state volleyball tournament. It is November 8th and November 9th. This year, we're hosting 4A, and the 3A tournament's going to be hosted at Marshfield. I think Mike said that in each year, that's going to switch back and forth. What we are, though, is in a little bit of a different situation with its impact on our school day. What happens is that with the volleyball tournament, it's running 2 instead of 3 days. And so the basketball tournament is a 3-day tournament. So the first games in the basketball tournament really don't happen until early afternoon on the Thursday. Well, in the volleyball tournament, we've got teams playing, my understanding is we have teams playing at 8 o'clock in the morning on Friday morning. So there is a direct impact with a lot of people coming in and school. And so, and with it happening after we had planned for the 24-25 calendar year, adopted the calendar as we did back in last winter, we tried to figure out the best option for how to have both school and that happen at the same time, and there's really not a great way to do that. The Coos Bay School District is flip-flopping professional development days so that they'll have that be in their district on that day. They won't have school, and so I had our staff run the number of hours that are required for each grade level, and so at the end of all of that, the 245 minutes of school that day, my recommendation is that we not have school at the high school, that day be K through 8 only. It's already an early release day, so it's not a full day of school. And then go ahead and have the tournament and not try to make up those 245 minutes since we are still above our state requirement in terms of the number of hours of instruction for grades 9, 10, 11, and 12. So that's what you have there. You have a recommendation that November 8th, 2024 be a school day for students in K through 8, but not in grades 9 through 12.
I move the board amend the current adopted 2024-2025 district calendar to reflect that November 8th, 2024 will be a school day for students in K through 8 only.
I'll second.
Okay, there is a motion and a second, and the motion is I move for the board to amend the current adopted 2024-2025 district calendar to reflect that November 8th, 2024 will be a school day for students K to 8 only. Any discussion? All right, we'll have a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nays? 7-0. All right, agenda item 8, policy second read, action item.
The primary thing that I want to point out in these policies is that there are some in which OSBA suggests that we just delete the policy. And then there are others that in some cases, they delete one policy and then they have another policy that has maybe the same title to it. In other cases, they've deleted a policy and then the language of that policy actually appears in other policies, right? And so what we hope to do is be able to give you a recommendation for one omnibus motion, but with the deletions and the additions, the adoptions, it seemed like it would be the best if we had a motion in which we deleted the policies and then have a motion that adopts additional policies. That being said, you had an opportunity to have them. This is the second read. I think I mostly just am interested if there's pieces and parts of a policy that you would like to discuss or you want to have some discussion. I'm just going to kind of open it to you for discussion. We have them here. We can try to answer questions. I and my team, if you have questions. Otherwise, if you don't, whenever you're ready, then I do recommend that you delete and then adopt the policies as they're presented.
Any questions?
I have no questions, particularly. I've looked it over. It makes some sense.
Can we do both the motions at one time, or we have to go individually?
I would do them
Individual?
separately, since we,
Yeah.
just so you say that,
Right.
that we deleted the ones and then approved, adopted the others.
I move that the board delete the policies listed above, recommended for deletion.
I second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to delete, that the board delete the policies listed above recommended for deletion. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll have a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Nay? 7-0.
I move that the board adopt the policies listed above, recommended for adoption.
I second.
Okay, again, Carol made a motion, Dallas seconded, and that motion was I move that the board adopt the policies listed above recommended for adoption. Any further discussion by the board? Okay, we'll have a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Nay? 7-0. Okay. All right, agenda item 9, revision of policy IKC, class rankings. Action.
Okay, you have the policy. We had good discussion about this at the work session. We brought it to you at the work session as a discussion item so that we felt like we could offer it up tonight as a policy to adopt. The primary change out of the work session was that this change would happen in the class, beginning with graduating class of 2026. You'll notice that we added that sentence under item 6 under the policy. And so everything that you see in yellow is the change. And so just for everybody's sake in the audience, since you guys have had a chance to discuss it, one of the things that's different in this policy is that if we have multiple valedictorians, then we won't, starting with 2026, we won't actually, yeah, in 2026, we won't select a salutatorian. The concept of a salutatorian is one in which there was a day and age where you would typically have one person who had the highest GPA and one person who had the next highest GPA, and so you honored both of them. And we are now in a world in which we are honoring, like last year, I believe we had 13 valedictorians. And so, so it seemed kind of awkward to honor a salutatorian, or maybe there's a dozen valedictorians, to honor the 13th highest GPA in a graduating class. And so, so I think we addressed that, what would be equitably in this. We also want to require those who are receiving honors to take and successfully complete their essential skills. This is a group of students who ought to be able to do that. And so item 6 says it would successfully complete state-required smarter balanced ELA and math assessments, as well as the next generation science assessment with a score of 3 or above. The test must be taken in students' junior year. This should be required beginning with graduating class 2026. So we are trying to make sure that our best and brightest students, the ones who have the most success, are not opting out of the state test and opting out of the opportunity to show their essential skills. And then we're talking about the predicament that we have if you have a dozen valedictorians and a salutatorian, how many speeches you have. And so if there are more than 4 students that are valedictorians, then a high school committee will have an opportunity to choose what it looks like for speeches. And it could be that you have more than 4 speeches. Like if there's 5 valedictorians, your committee might say, let's have all 5. But then it'll just put it in your hands at the high school, so that there's an opportunity to not necessarily have them have a half hour of valedictorian speeches. So that's that policy. I recommend that you adopt the policy.
I do have a comment.
Yeah.
I know I'm in the minority, and I don't think, you guys don't agree, but that's okay. I still want it to be on record. I feel like if you are the brightest and the best in the class, that everyone should have the opportunity to do a little speech. That's just my own thing. If they are up there and we give them 2 minutes, if I was a valedictorian, I would feel a little slighted if I didn't engage. So I'm just gonna say that. And I enjoyed all of the speeches. They were short and sweet, and
Good. As far as for me, the successfully complete the smarter balanced the state test for English language arts, math assessments, as well as science, I think that's a great idea. And I think if you're valedictorian, you should have gone through some academic rigor and demonstrated that to get that. So.
And then I do have a question. If we do the whole committee thing and only 4 people are going to do a speech, who's on that committee and how do they choose?
That's, I think the language that came out of it was designated by the school committee, and at this point in time, there's not really an AR that's associated with this that would say, here's how the committee is chosen. At this point, I would look to my high school administration and say, find a group of people that are kind of representative and build that, and put it together and make some decisions like that. I know that Chris has several people on his staff that work with seniors, that teach seniors, that are coaching seniors, that are connected to the senior group differently than the typical teacher might be. Every staff has that group. And so if I were to recommend something to him, I would say, get 5 people that are connected to the senior group and have some conversation about how to make that selection, develop some criteria and move that forward.
It's just one clarification. I know the Smarter Balance portion was intended to be in the 26th graduating class, but I believe the others were effective to start this year, the way it reads in the policy.
I was thinking of that I was trying to remember the conversation on that exact piece, that the Smarter Balance piece, we were putting that at 26 because they didn't know before last spring that they would have had to taken the test. But you're right, we're actually saying that the valedictorian, the salutatorian on item 2 and item 7 would be in place this year.
So I think if as a junior, if you take the test in 2025, you're going to graduate in 2026. If you don't pass one of those, you have another opportunity to take it in 2026 prior to your graduation.
Yeah.
Well, I move to board to adopt policy IKC class rankings with the recommended changes.
I second that.
Okay, there's a motion by Nathan and a second by Carol I move for the board to adopt policy IKC class rankings with the recommended changes. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll have a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nay?
I'm gonna say, just because of the law.
6-1. Okay, good discussion. Okay. Agenda item 10, revision of policy IKF, graduation requirements, action item.
As you recall, this is the language regarding essential skills and the honors diploma. Okay. Now, there will in the future be conversations about the North Bend diploma, and we also know that there will be more IKF changes that will be coming from the state as they implement new state requirements in relationship specifically to the personal finance, college career readiness, civics, and so on and so forth, right? But this is, if you look at number 9 on the page that is numbered 1-8. No, 2-7, I'm sorry, 2-7. It says successfully complete the state required Smarter Balance ELA and math assessments, as well as the next generation science assessments with a score of 3 or above. The test must be taken in the student's junior year. If not passed in their junior year, the test can be repeated in their senior year. This will be required of the honors diploma candidates in the graduating class of 2026 and beyond. Very similar language to what we just had in IKC about valedictorians. We're saying if you want to receive an honors diploma, and starting with the class of 2026, you have to meet your essential skills, take the state test and meet your essential skills.
I thought we had discussed with the honors separated from the valedictorian, that they had the opportunity, if they didn't pass, that they could do something within the school. Did we not have that discussion? Like another opportunity to show, to show your competency in some kind of a,
Essential
I think that was for the North Bend diploma. So the honors
I
diploma.
thought it was for the honors as well.
I thought it was for the honors.
No, I think the discussion that we had was for the honors one was the top,
So-
and then down below that would be the North Bend diploma that would allow you to do,
Working temp?
yeah,
Do you guys
that's the
know
conversation
anything
that I
about that?
remember.
I know the discussion happened. I'm racking my brain trying to figure out if there was what I would consider to be consensus
Because
about
that way
that.
it's, they're not quite at the same standard as a valedictorian, but they're still higher than a normal where they wouldn't have to do the, whatever with the school.
There were two pieces to it. One of those was, first of all, we want the kids to take the state test.
Absolutely.
Okay, again, these are students that have been successful. We don't want them to opt out. We want them to take the test. If you want to be an honors, have the honors diploma, part of the rigor is you got to take the state test. The conversation about then, if they don't pass one or more of those, could they use an alternative option to meet their essential skill? And that can certainly be a part of the policy, if the board would like to go that direction. But like I said, I'm just honestly not recalling whether or not there was actual consensus about that language after the work session.
I think we were equating the valedictorians with the honors diploma, because if you are a valedictorian, you would be getting an honors diploma, and so the things that would be required to actually pass the state exam. If you were unable to do that one, but you wanted to get a diploma that said that you did more than just the state requirements, then you could get the North Bend diploma that would allow the work example instead. That was the discussion that I remember.
That's not quite how I read it. But that's fine.
I have notes on it, but I have it written kind of both.
Do we want to table it and move it to, so we can review what our decision was?
We could very well table it, add it to the work session again on
Let's do that.
in the end of this month, and then kind of get clarity about, what the will of the board is, and then we can come back with additional language for adoption in October, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
Because I think that the whole reason that there was that distinction was, if not, then we're making the honors diploma exactly the same as the North Bend diploma. So what's the distinction? Why do you deserve the honors diploma? Why not the North Bend diploma? If they're both exactly the same.
Well, they're not.
They
There's
would,
different criteria for an honors program than the North Bend.
I get that, but I think that was the discussion that I remember. Was what was the distinction, so.
So is there a motion to table this and, so the work
I
session?
move to table this
Okay.
to the work session.
There's a motion to,
I'll second.
table IKEA and a second, and so we'll go ahead and table this until September 22nd, the work session, and revisit it.
September 19th,
Thank you.
Thank you for
my
that.
son's birthday.
Do my math better on the fly.
Well, I think one of the main things is we wanted to be sure that the students realize these changes
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They have-
early, the beginning of the year.
Right.
So that it's fair to them, because this is gonna be big for them.
And the good piece about the IKF is that none of that is gonna be a part of the graduating class of 25.
Yes.
Right,
All of that
right.
language is for the next year.
Exactly.
But it's good for them to know so that
Exactly.
we can get the information to the kids saying, hey, if you're on the honors diploma
Right.
track, here's some requirements you need to lock into.
Here's some changes coming down the pipe.
We expect more.
Yeah.
Okay, did we vote on that already?
We did not.
Let's have a vote, okay.
Was there a second?
There's a motion
Yes.
and a second to table IKF and take it up at the 19th of September work session. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll have a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nay? 7-0. Okay, good discussion. Okay, agenda item 11, board comments.
I'm glad to see my kids back at school.
And you know the sports score of the soccer.
I
Did you
watched it.
take a little drive?
No, actually, it's really nice, what, you can watch it on TV on your
Oh, yeah.
So I was not gonna go to bed and turn around and come back all day.
Summit's tough competition in virtually every sport.
Yeah, well, they're playing the Dallas at
Oh,
Summit.
okay.
But Dallas are ranked number 2, so it's not that bad of a deal.
Okay, agenda item 12, information only. There's some district financial, 12B work session, September 19th, 2 weeks from this evening. And then 12C, next board meeting, October 3rd, 2024. Want to thank everybody for all their hard work, all the administrators and teachers for getting ready to start school again.
And before you adjourn, did you know that one of the board members has a birthday tomorrow?
Yes.
Really?
I do.
Did not know.
Yeah.
You can all sing
And-
happy birthday.
And,
Are you 29 again?
I'm 29, yeah.
And,
When you start to make, what is
we
it,
have
maybe
some treats.
3/4 of
Oh,
a century, you kind of go, woo.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, thank you.
So adjourn, and then there's,
Aw.
thank you much for coming. We are adjourned.
Hey, Joe.